Get the fucking vaccine!
You need to get vaccinated, and if you don't, you are going to die.
I know you're vaccinated, you're the smart ones, but you know there's people out there who aren't listening to God.
There's freedom for them charged with terrorist threats.
You have no individual rights when it comes to the
no rights, no freedom.
You're killing other people.
We're being attacked by unvaccinated.
No reason.
Yo, we talk about this all the time.
Yes, bro.
What are these images?
Like,
what were these dropping like flies in the street? We're like, whoa,
and
COVID's
guys
crazy.
come out with like hazmat suits on from fucking outer space.
Please don't cancel us, no. Please don't cancel us. We're talking fake news and conspiracies. Come on, please don't cancel us. And though our subjects are all sensitive, come on, please don't cancel us.
Well, what I wanted to say, something that we didn't touch upon last time, is that I think it's funny how, like, now in the mainstream media, or at least in the normal news here in the Netherlands, it's being found that there's toxic particles in sunscreen that can cause cancer. And
So funny.
Isn't it so funny? Because, we heard about this way before.
Way back.
And I'm already not a big fan of putting too much sunscreen on. I like to tan. And it's just so funny because when we were on holiday, my family is like, how would you say that? What are they? They follow the news. They believe the news. They're not like us.
Yeah, they're not free thinkers.
Yeah, they're not free thinkers.
They're not necessarily people that think for themselves.
No.
They're kind of headline researchers. So they'll see what the government or what the official bodies are putting out, and then they assume it's very safety based. They'll assume that such and such has done their research, and that so and so would not be released unless it was extensively.
And they also have a predisposition to think that I just believe anything that I read.
Which is crazy because you can create that, huh? I think that's funny in human interaction. You could say one or two things that then again, these types of thinkers will categorize you. Mm-hmm. They'll put you in a box and they'll say, oh, Manouk is a whatever. Yeah. And therefore, everything and anything that you say, even if you're correct, is just, you're the crazy kook.
Yeah, because they always think that. Even like when COVID spread, because Annalot, my sister, she reads articles. She's more like that. I'm not like that. I don't go researching in depth. I have conversations, but I also have a gut feel about things, and then I read some articles here and there, but she's more like, she goes and dives into things, but things that she believes in. So it's like confirmation bias.
Yeah. You're looking for the answer to the question that you already feel.
I know it sounds a bit silly, but I always listen to my gut. And most of the time my gut is correct about certain things. And if it's logical in my brain.
There you go. I was going to say common sense or logical.
Yeah, exactly. Then I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, right?
Can I just quickly touch on the sunscreen thing and how it's logical?
Yeah.
Sunscreen is a chemical product.
Yeah.
Right? It is human engineered.
Yes.
It is created in a lab, mixing God knows what. Mm-hmm. And your skin is a gigantic receptor.
Yeah.
So anything you put on your skin will effectively be absorbed and find its way into your bloodstream. Mm-hmm. And therefore, it'll affect your body.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's not crazy to assume that certain sunscreens, if not the majority of sunscreens, depending on what products they put in, could have some adverse effect. Now, maybe you're not a scientist and you know the specific
I'm not a scientist.
Effect in question. However, it is pretty commonsensical to say this. Look, I think this is where you stand.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. For hundreds of thousands of years, since the dawn of humankind, we've been exposed to sunlight. Mm-hmm. And in the last 100 years, I can Google how long a sunscreen has been around. Not that long.
Not that long.
We've had this weird chemical petroleum-like jelly that we smear on our bodies to protect us from the sun. Now, here's why. We work office jobs. Mm-hmm. So we do not get regular sun exposure.
Outside, yeah.
Therefore, there is this deficiency, right? This vitamin deficiency with vitamin D3. because you're not exposed to the sun. And then there's also like an emotional deficiency. You want to be in the sunlight. Like it is recharging, right?
Yeah.
So what do? You go down to the beach
Yeah.
or you go sit in the sun at a cafe or something. And instead of being in the sun for a normal period of time, you're in the sun for a prolonged period
Yeah.
of time. Overexposure, right? And anything of too much of anything is bad.
Yeah.
Therefore, people were being sunburnt, and then people were developing skin cancer. And I think that was the origin of sunscreen,
Yeah.
was to combat that.
Yeah.
But there's nothing natural about a human being
No, with this engineer
going to the beach and sitting on the beach for 4 hours
No.
in the direct hot sun
Yeah.
at 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
There's nothing natural about that.
No.
A human being will walk in the sun, out of the sun. They'll walk under a tree, they'll walk this, and they'll get
Yeah,
a
but
little bit of sun
animals,
exposure.
if you look at animals,
Don't think about
also-
animals, think about humans, think
Yeah.
about tribal people, think
Yeah.
about Africans, think about people who live outside, right? Like
Yeah.
they sit under a tree.
Yeah.
They seek shade, they
Yeah.
seek shelter, and then
Yeah.
when the sun cools down or whatever, then they'll move around more frequently. But
Yeah.
if they are moving around during the day, it's limited sun exposure. You know, you might get like an hour or two of sunlight per day,
Yeah.
but it's broken up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very different
Yeah.
than just baking yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
So again, just to reiterate, I think that's your point.
Yeah, well, my point is it's not natural to be lathering yourself in this engineered cream that we don't even know what it is. And there's also this saying that if you can eat it, you can put it on your body. Like someone
Can I say
mentioned
something
this
else, I
once.
think?
Yeah.
You know how, as the younger generation, we look at the previous generation with cross eyes, and we're like, how could you possibly think
Yeah.
that such and such was healthy for you?
Yeah.
Smoking or driving without a seatbelt
Yeah.
or, you know, all of these things that we like judge them for.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you don't know how to use an iPhone? You're so stupid. What's to say that in 50 years from now, the younger generation isn't going to look at us and say that, oh my God, you guys are so stupid. How could you think it's a good idea to use Teflon in your cooking pans?
Yeah, but it's like it's all of this. But then there's another counter thing to that. I do believe the older generation was a bit more resilient than we are because we're so protected. Like that's the
Well, that's
the
clinically proven.
counter.
So
Yeah.
they've taken people who are like perfectly sober and
Yeah.
perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
And they've compared them to people who have experimented with a lot of different substances, whether it's drugs or toxic materials and that kind of stuff. Your body does build a resilience.
Yeah.
It's like let's talk about the flu.
Yeah.
Not COVID. I'm not messing around right now. The flu. You build up a natural immunity.
Yeah.
Snake venom. There's people that inject small amounts of snake venom so that
Yeah.
they can build an immunity. It actually works.
Yeah, it works.
What happens is you're diversifying your body's bacteria, I guess. Yeah. And therefore, if you introduce a foreign body,
Yeah.
your body may not have seen this bacteria before, but they're like, because we've dealt with this and we've
We
dealt
know
with
what to
this,
do.
we kind of know how to tackle this. I mean, when
Yeah.
you're a baby,
Yeah.
you're constantly putting your hands on the ground and putting it in your
Yeah.
in your mouth.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
developing a stronger
immune system. You get sick more, but then after that, you're able to handle more.
Yeah,
also.
exactly.
So that's basically where I'm getting at with the going back to the sunscreen, is like I think it's a lot healthier, and this has also been proven, to go in and out of the sun for a few minutes at a time,
Periodically.
build up a resilience against the sun instead of putting sunscreen on your body all the time. Like my sister was neurotically putting sunscreen on every 2 hours because she believes that's
But, like,
gonna protect her
neurotically,
neurotically.
Like, oh my God, I didn't get my...
And it's just so funny because it's like the opposite of how I am. And it's what I'm trying to get at is that it's funny because in November we were on a holiday and I barely put sunscreen on.
Oh, yeah?
I only put this natural sunscreen on that I got from a friend in the US that is proven to not have any toxic chemicals in it that induce cancer. But I cannot say this to my family because they'll be like, she's crazy saying that sunscreen will give you cancer, right? That's what they'll believe.
That's the narrative.
So
right?
they were already laughing and sort of joking around. I could hear it go, oh yeah, no, Manuk, you're one of those,
You're
huh?
one of
That
those.
believes that
You're one of
sunscreen can induce cancer.
Yeah, they put you down before
And
they even listen.
the funny thing is now that in the mainstream media, so on the news, now it's being said that sunscreen can induce cancer. And I wonder if they're going to change their tune. And the thing is, we end up being right about these things, but still we're labeled
credit.
as the crazy ones.
We're the kooks. We're the crazy kooks.
Yeah, but you know, everything gives you cancer. That's what's going to be happening. That's what's going to be
But
said.
the thing is, like, it's the same thing with COVID. It's the same thing with sunscreen. It's the same thing with a lot of the things that you and I come across.
Yeah.
We are early adopters of these things. And I feel like should be a moment of credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Like at some
Come on.
point,
Like-
you have to come down off your high horse and say, you know what, fucking whoops.
Yes.
I was wrong about the sunscreen thing. But that's the thing is like, you know, you fast forward 2-3 years from now because you're saying now it's on mainstream media.
Yeah.
2-3 years from now, maybe your family is the one telling you, did you get this sunscreen because this one is cancer free? And then what are you supposed to do in that moment? You see, that's the problem with people like you and I. And there's millions of people out there like us. We're not petty.
No.
We're just happy that now people are on our page and that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
We don't go back.
I mean, I giggle within myself and think, haha.
No, but you don't publicly or go back in the past
I
and
don't
try
go
to
back to
defame
my
or
family
make fun
and
of or
look,
I told you so.
Did you see that? You were making fun of me. No, I just let them have their beliefs.
Because I think even if you did, then that's when they would start saying, yeah, but you know, everybody.
It's the same with
it's diminishing.
With
it's
the COVID
diminishing.
situation also. And it's because my sister, and she's right. I do not read articles on articles on articles, but she thinks I just pick something up somewhere and I like what that sounds
But
like.
here's the
And
thing.
then I go with
was,
it.
When I was still in school, when I was still studying, I've only had like 2 teachers that I've ever liked in my entire life. One of them, his name was Mr. Michaels. And he developed his own curriculum. He developed a new subject.
Yeah, you told me about this.
And it was like a weird form of global/critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a conspiracy theorist. He was just a very free-thinking guy. And he thought that children were not being educated how to differentiate between what is and what isn't. Children were not being taught how to source code. Children were not being taught how to prove something or disprove something. So that was pretty much all we did. And I'm not just saying this, I was, you know, at the time, I was not a very good student, but I was the top of the class. I was his favorite student.
Because it's something that intrigued you, yeah.
And the thing that I started realizing is all of these articles that you read, most of them are fake.
Yeah.
Okay? Just like there's millions of articles that prove the earth is flat, there's millions of articles that prove the earth is round.
Yeah.
However, a lot of the articles that prove that the earth is round are written by flat earthers.
Yeah.
Trying to put a seed of misinformation somewhere to throw people off along the way. Because you have to understand, humans are diabolical. And when you start realizing like, okay, here's this headline, then you read the article. Oh, the article has nothing to do with the headline. And then you're like, okay, well, let's see who published this article. Even if it's on a reputable news site, then you look into the person who wrote the article or the person who cleared the article. And then all of a sudden you start realizing that there's a bias.
Yeah.
That there's an opinion. Oh, that somebody got wronged, so therefore they're trying to equalize a vendetta. It's a crazy world. And that's why I don't think when it comes to article reading, people are... How would you say this? I don't feel like people are really analyzing it, because if the Canadian government releases an article on vaccines, there's a narrative, there's an agenda, there's a bias, and therefore you're reading what you think is a scientific study, and therefore you are regurgitating the information that you've received because you've been told it's legitimate, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the source of the issue here. Because you're being told this is true.
Yeah. So then
by an official body.
Yeah.
But that official body, how many times, not just Canada, not just America, not just Europe, the whole world, how many times has the world made mistakes?
So many times.
They said that if you got the vaccine, you would no longer be able to transmit and you would no longer be able to catch the virus. And they said it was, I'll play that video if you want. It's a war against the unvaccinated. They're the problem. Now they're coming out and they're saying...
It's crazy.
Well, actually, your risk of catching COVID with the vaccine is actually a little bit higher than if you don't have the vaccine, if you have natural immunity.
The thing is, I wonder, like, I think about, like, if you showed that video to my family, for example... I think they just like reject
Joe Rogan
it.
made a good point that I
Yeah.
actually wanted to bring up earlier.
Yeah.
He said, this is during lockdown, so this is quite a long time ago. And he said, I think a lot of people who got the vaccine are really scared because the more information they start seeing of it being potentially a health threat
Yeah.
or potentially a mistake, there's like avoidance because
course.
there's fear. Like,
Of
listen,
course.
if I told you that, imagine you took the vaccine.
Yeah.
It's in you
Yeah.
permanently for
Yeah.
life. It's not a tattoo that you can remove. It's in your DNA. It's changing the structure of
Yeah.
your DNA, right? Forever. Now imagine if I told you it's been proven that you only have 10 years to live.
Oh my God.
Whoops. Okay? Denial kicks in.
Of course, denial kicks in.
So that's the concept here is like when you start seeing information about how it was mismanaged, the lockdowns were mismanaged, the money went missing, the vaccines, there was an agenda. 40 new pharmaceutical billionaires came out of this whole vaccine scenario, right? 40 billionaires were birthed into the world. When you start looking at the facts and you start
Are you
looking
serious?
at the science, yeah,
From
And
all
then
the products and all the
40
pharmaceutical.
billionaires out of the
40.
40 billionaires were emerged from that. And then you start looking at athletes and you start looking at Joe Linder that we
Yeah,
just
so
spoke about.
sad.
You start seeing all these people. You start seeing these things, but you don't really see them, do you? Because they're being suppressed. You hear about them and somebody sends you a video, but you're not going to see it on the mainstream media, are you? And then they say, oh, the cause of death was blah, blah, blah. Like, no, he's a professional athlete. He's
Who's
playing
fit as
football.
a
He's
fiddle.
playing soccer. He's a professional bodybuilder. He's this, he's that. Yeah, no, but it's steroids. Or yeah, no, it's because he had a pre-existing heart condition. Hold on. When people were being eaten alive by sharks and you found trace elements of COVID-19 in their bloodstream,
Their cause
you
of
counted
death.
it as a COVID death.
Yeah.
So now you're telling me that this is not counted as a vaccine death or vaccine complication. You're saying, oh no, it's a pre-existing condition that this 29-year-old super athlete just drops dead on the field.
Yeah.
So when you start seeing that, there is a part of you that goes, close the book. I don't want to look at it. It's
Of
not
course.
true.
Of course. 100%.
So that's what I'm trying to say is like, I think there's
I would do the same. I would probably do the same.
I think there's a lot of ego.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of fear. And I think there's a lot of, like, if you are labeled as the kook,
Yeah.
oh, Manouk's just the silly one,
Yeah.
they don't want to give you your time of day. They don't want to take you out of that category. Because now all of a sudden everything is in question. See, that's where you and I exist. Everything is in question all the time.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe anything.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's fun because you can fuck around with conspiracies.
Of course.
And then it's also scary because you're like, hold on, when things become real, you're
Yeah.
like, I actually need to take a moment here to evaluate what's going on.
Yeah, like when you start thinking about like if they're going to do another pandemic or
Yeah.
if there's going to be World War III,
Because that
I
starts
also
becoming
back
serious.
out. Then I go,
Yeah.
no. Do you really think so? Like,
And if you start saying like the pyramids were built by aliens for anal play, like that's fun. Let's talk about that. That could be possible. Why not? Because it's funny. It's funny. But think about it. Like it's so much easier to just stay in your lane and do
Yeah.
what you're told and listen to the job that you're in and run with the narrative. Like there was footage of Russian soldiers burying Ukrainians because Ukraine didn't want to take care of the bodies.
yeah.
They just left them there to rot. So the footage comes out
And-
of Russian soldiers burying Ukrainians.
Yeah, and it's like
And the
labeled
narrative
as-
was, look
yeah.
at how these Russians are murdering these Ukrainians. And then only later, suppressed, do you realize, like, no, they're actually just trying to help because this is a big problem.
Yeah.
It's all optics. It's
Yeah.
all how you choose to look at the angle. And these are professionals. You're talking about professionals with invested interests, which are funded by companies that have an incentive. Like Russell Brand said it. Should I show the video or should I just reiterate what he said?
You can show the video.
Yeah.
Why not? Did you already have it up or no?
No. It just comes
Just
to mind.
came to
He
mind
was on
now.
the Piers Morgan show.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no. A different show.
But it's funny, huh? Russell Brand is really like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's on top of it. Like he's one of the only like celebrities that's really.
Here, you might want to put on your...
Oh yeah. Forgot about that.
Purdue Pharma, you're familiar.
Oh.
There's a terrific movie, Michael Keaton movie, Nope Sick. was
Oh,
about.
yes.
Okay. And this is
If
all...
you need an opioid, Purdue Pharma will sell you them at a reasonable price, whether you need them or not.
Well, announced Purdue Pharma pleaded guilty to kickback laws. With an questions asked.
Yeah. See if you... John, I'll offer you this challenge. For bonus...
We go. Yep.
This is
the wrong one. Oh, okay.
Here, maybe it's this.
We do. We love
Mate,
facts. I love facts.
I wouldn't have mentioned it. I'm English, and you know that politeness
Yeah.
is our fundamental religion.
Yeah.
So Russell Brand said, I know that you love facts because he likes ripping people apart when they're not being factual. So Russell Brand said, I've prepared some facts for you.
Yeah.
I love facts.
I wouldn't have mentioned it. I'm English, and you know that politeness is our fundamental religion.
Yeah.
But they do pertain to this issue, so may I say some of them?
Please,
if they
please do.
inconvenience you, I'll stop saying them. The pandemic created at least 40 new big pharma billionaires. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second from the COVID-19 vaccine. More than two-thirds of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election. Pfizer chairman Albert Bourla told Time magazine in July 2020 that his company was developing a COVID vaccine for the good of humanity, not for money. And of course, Pfizer made $100 billion in profit in 2022. And may I just mention, finally, and this is also a fact, that you, the American public, funded the development of that. The German public funded the BioNTech vaccine. When it came to the profits, they took the profits. When it came to the funding, you paid for the funding. It's difficult not to...
But I will just add one thing. It is possible that these are greedy capitalists who made a lot of money, and also there are a lot of people who did need the vaccine.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who did need the vaccine. I never wanted to be told I was one of them who had to take it. But there are lots of people who needed that vaccine and would be dead without it. That is true, too.
Bill.
That is true, too.
More facts.
All I'm querying is this.
Yes.
Is if you have an economic system in which pharmaceutical companies benefit hugely from medical emergencies, where a military-industrial complex benefits from war, where energy companies benefit from energy crises, you are going to generate states of perpetual crisis, where the interests of ordinary people...
Well, yes.
So that's just what I wanted to show.
But he gets uncomfortable. Huh?
Of course he gets uncomfortable.
To,
He's running a news show where you can't let this happen because you've got people above you.
But doesn't he know Russell Brand is all about this?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so
but
he knows.
even then, like your job as the puppet that you are on the late night show that you've been given is to run the narrative you've been told. You're a glorified prompter reader. You're not a free thinker. The last of the free thinkers of the late night shows was what was his name?
I don't know.
He was my favorite.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart was was the last of the free thinkers, and he's actually even gone on during COVID times.
Really?
Where he spoke to another host, Jon Stewart.
Yeah. But also like how we speak about it, or
look at this.
Okay.
Watch it.
Well, let's watch it.
Oh, but this is his love for scientists. Hold on.
Just want to say, be careful.
Is it
this? And I say this with all due respect.
Yes.
There's a saying. They say black don't crack. It implies.
Oh no, but this is the correct interview. That's why I got mistaken.
Yeah. Still makes a fair point, but
tonight is in South Carolina, and
that's right. Dynamic.
You think you can
and you're like, all right,
John.
Oh,
oh
yeah.
my God.
But there was another one. I'm not going to find it now because it's gone a little bit too long. But the idea is that they try to suppress you, man. And like even if you end up being right.
Yeah.
Even if you end up being right, how crazy is that?
It's funny.
Because now that's
this
the main...
was still okay.
It's still okay, but there was another one where it got...
But it's funny how they are trying to play the music. Like, let's stop this this whole conversation. But yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, there was another one.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, maybe that was also a little bit bigger because back then, if you said anything about it coming out of a lab, you were a terrorist.
Yeah.
You're a fucking terrorist if you say that.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
I mean, look what they did. Look what they did. Do you remember what they did to Joe Rogan? When he took ivermectin.
Yes, I remember that.
Which has been
100%.
prescribed to humans billions of
Mm-hmm.
times. And then they tried to make it seem like he had
horse tranquilizer or
dewormer or whatever.
horse dewormer. That's what it was.
CNN.
Yeah.
CNN. Now you're telling me you're watching CNN and you think that they're legit because it's a real news organization. So they must clearly be doing something, right? You're telling me you're going to walk around planet Earth saying that Joe Rogan takes horse dewormer and you're not going to watch his content anymore. But let me just do this. So Joe Rogan is about 10 to 15 times bigger than CNN.
Yeah, I know.
And he's actively damaging their viewership.
Yes.
So they are plummeting as a company. They're losing money. They're losing viewers, right? To Joe Rogan, to other free-thinking news organizations or news shows, right? Like the other one that I show you all the time.
You know what I think is funny with that is that we're under the impression that we're the minority.
But that's the joke. That's the inception trick. Because we are the majority.
Yeah.
We are actually the majority. But the problem with us.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with us. If you think like this.
Yes.
This is the problem. We're not petty. See, the problem with us is that we're the ones that can fix the world. Is that we're the ones that can steer it in the correct direction.
Yeah.
If you and I and all of the people like us were in charge.
Yeah.
I have nothing to personally gain. It's not that I'm like Jesus.
No.
But I would rather choose to help people than to screw them over for money.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? That's what I would choose. That's what you would choose, and that's what a lot of people like us would choose. Like if I was in government, I would be like, no. Get all this out of here. It's not helping anyone. Where's the money going? 2 trillion that you lost? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Here's the problem. We're the problem. The reason the world is like this is because of people like you and me. It's our fault directly because we don't stand up. Because we don't shout at the top of our rooftops. Because we don't protest. We don't care. We focus on ourselves. We say, well, the world's crazy and it's burning. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go away from all the problems. And I'm going to go live somewhere by myself.
Yeah.
You remove yourself from the equation because you're like, let them just destroy it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
but
the
I mean,
problem.
we are speaking up about it.
Well,
just
now
not
we're
in
starting
an
to speak up
aggressive
about it.
way. Just
No.
not in an aggressive way.
We were always suppressed, and I think now with technology and podcasts and TikTok and stuff like that, people like you and me, people like Eddie Bravo, people like Joe Rogan, these types of people are being given a platform.
Yeah.
And the problem with TikTok, hence the TikTok ban,
Yeah.
there was never a Facebook
Yeah,
ban.
what's the update on that? Is
Yeah,
that
they're
like-
still trying to. They recently passed a law in Canada where they said that they can basically censor whatever they want.
Yeah.
And they don't have to. They don't have to ask.
Do anything
They don't
about
have
it.
to prove anything. It's just like. It's crazy. It's
In
like
Canada.
that video that I in Canada.
Of course.
It's crazy because like it's like the video that I showed you. They're claiming. Canada is claiming now that they never forced anybody to take the vaccine. No, that's what they're claiming.
Where? Who?
They said that they incentivized people to take the vaccine, but they never forced people. Now, let me just tell you this. If you spoke out or if you protested at one of Justin Trudeau's speeches, they froze your bank account. So many people's bank accounts got
Incentivized.
frozen. Don't you remember when that pregnant lady in Australia and the cops came to her house and knocked on her door and put her in a police car, a pregnant woman, and took her to jail because she was tweeting about COVID misinformation?
That's insane to me.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember when there were quarantine camps? I don't know if
What
everybody
happened
has
to
seen
those
this.
people that were put into jail for that? Are they out now? Like, what happens there?
Well, the thing is, you're not allowed to press charges, right?
No.
Your whole life has been disturbed, but you're not
Yeah.
even allowed to speak out about it. Look at this. This is one of the quarantine camps
In Australia,
in
right?
Australia.
So what's happening there now?
They're trying to keep them open because they spent so much money to create them
Mhm.
that now that it's gone, they're trying to put fuel on the fire again to say, no, well, we still need it because it could still happen. And, you know, COVID is still, you
But
don't know.
don't you think this is part of maybe another plan?
let's not get into that right now. Let's just talk about this. Let's talk about how you had to be in a tiny little box, and if you put your foot out of the box, it was a 500 euro fine for a flu that has a 95% survival rate, 95.6.
It's higher, I think, even. Yeah.
How insane is that? How insane is this? But you want to see the video?
Which one is that?
Justin Trudeau.
Oh, yeah, please. Do you have it already?
So this is just like a little lead up. This is from Redacted.
Redacted.
Canada, Justin Trudeau, who is a dictator up north in Canada, Justin Trudeau, who is, I think, trying to rewrite history. And he's right now actively trying to gaslight all of us about what his role was in COVID, about vaccines.
He's a terrorist.
He's pretending that he has always been super empathetic about people who had vaccine hesitancy, that he was easy on those people. He had an understanding about it. This comes from a discussion last week with German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier. We're going to play it, and we may have to stop him because we just can't stand it.
And then I think this is the video that they were trying to play.
It didn't work? But it doesn't show on that.
No, it finishes.
Through the greatest public health crisis that we've faced in 100 years in this country, and all of the scientists and the medical experts and the researchers, not just in Canada, but around the world, understood that vaccination was going to be the way through this. Therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated,
Not forcing anyone,
to
he
make
says.
sure that all the incentives and all the protections were there to encourage Canadians to get vaccinated.
I mean, he literally said, you will not travel this year to see any family members or for business if you're not vaccinated, except under some extreme exemptions.
So he's basically trying to backtrack now.
Yeah.
Again, here's the thing that I'm trying to say. The second the narrative changes, the sunscreen thing, we're back at sunscreen.
Yeah.
They do not say whoopsie daisy.
No. They just pretend, they start to like...
Oh, and I never said that.
False memorize.
No, that never happened. I didn't freeze your bank accounts. I didn't force you. I didn't do any of that.
I just gave you a really strong incentive to
I
get
was
it.
told by experts that the only thing to do was to vaccinate people.
Yeah.
So I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
You can't blame me.
No.
I'm not the bad guy. I just did what I had to do.
No, you did the necessary things.
What was that? What did you say about the scientists being paid off by big pharmaceutical companies that were creating multiple billionaires and I could have possibly been persuaded? No, that's impossible. They're scientists. Science is real. Science is always real.
Crazy.
Did you know that when you see a commercial that says 9 out of 10 doctors prescribe such and such, did you know that they ask about 50 doctors and then they just choose the 10 and they're like, oh, we can't say 10 out of 10. That sounds too fake. Make it 9. But why not 8? Well, then it's not big. It's not incentive enough, huh?
Yeah.
That's what they do. They take a sample size of 50 doctors, and then 40 of them go, this is garbage. And then 10 of them that they go like, here's $1,000. They're like, this is great. And then they say on the package 9 out of 10. Have you seen those American commercials I showed you where
I've seen
it says
American
brown sugar, and then you go at the back,
Yes.
really tiny. It's like, this product is not intended to be blah, blah, blah,
It's
brown
not
sugar.
natural.
It's
It says
literally just
natural-
branding.
No, it says natural brown sugar.
Natural brown sugar.
And then it says in small writing, there's
nothing fucking natural.
guarantee that this is natural. It's just the name of the brand or whatever. It's crazy.
So that's what I'm
crazy.
That's what I'm trying to get back to again.
Yeah.
Is the sunscreen thing, man. It's like the whole concept here is like they can do whatever they... Should we play that video? We've been playing a lot of long-winded videos. Should we play that video of the vaccine thing so people have
It's very
context?
long though. It's like
very
10
long.
minutes.
No. This is 10 minutes. So this one is...
Isn't it? It's 10 minutes. Look.
We didn't watch a 10-minute video.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes.
We watched a 10-minute video.
It's 10 minutes.
Jesus, I got sucked into this video, huh?
Yeah, it's a 10-minute video.
That's a lot. Should we play like a minute?
Just to show, maybe you can skip forward.
Yeah,
But
I'll skip forward a bit. If anybody wants to watch it,
yeah, what's it called?
there it is. You can copy paste that. We all know how to copy paste things.
Is it big enough?
And we want to
on the
make sure that
screen?
everyone
Okay.
understands that no one's safe till everyone's safe.
No one is 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 safe.
Nobody's safe.
No one is safe.
Nobody is safe.
This is a post 9/11 axiom. Safer, but not yet safe.
No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe from COVID-19 until everyone is safe.
If the whole world isn't safe, none of us are safe.
No one is safe.
No one is safe.
Nobody is safe.
Until we're all safe. Health experts have been saying nobody is safe.
Nobody is safe until everybody is safe.
Nobody is safe.
Science is clear.
None of us are safe.
There is no safety.
No one is safe.
No one is safe. No one is safe. No one is safe until everyone is safe.
No one's safe.
Nobody is safe.
Nobody's safe.
No one's safe.
We'll never be safe
until we're all safe.
We are never going to be safe.
99.5% of people are safe and will survive COVID-19.
The only positive thing out of this is we should be able to manufacture a lot of vaccines, and
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is vaccinated.
you don't have a choice.
As long as not everybody is vaccinated, nobody will be safe.
Normalcy only returns
No, just
when
wait
we
this part.
largely vaccinated the entire global population. So
Get the fucking vaccine. You need to get vaccinated, and if you don't, you are going to die.
I know you're vaccinated. You're the smart ones, but you know there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants. You know who they are.
The unvaccinated people.
My message to unvaccinated Americans is this.
If you are the unvaccinated, you are the problem.
You're the problem. Condemn them, shame them, blame them.
The only people that you can blame are the unvaccinated.
Frankly, we can't trust the unvaccinated.
They should not be part of polite society.
Lunatics who won't take COVID vaccines walking around lawfully unvaccinated. Psychotic.
You're willing
Psychotic.
to walk among us unvaccinated. You are an enemy. You have no right not to be vaccinated. You don't have the right to contaminate someone else.
You can't go around pointing a gun in somebody's face, which is what it is when people are unvaccinated.
They are all idiots.
Yes.
Losers.
Oh, totally.
in this country against the unvaccinated.
Jennifer Aniston is cutting non-vaccinated people out of her life.
It became a social thing.
removed from the hospital.
Those who refuse to
Like
be
Black Lives Matter from last
vaccinated should be
episode.
denied health care.
Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy, rest in peace, Wheezy.
Hospitals, they didn't want to accept you.
Doctors are saying they'll refuse treatment for people who choose not to get the shot.
Why are hospital and ICU resources going to them?
Morons who will not get the shot. The unvaccinated clowns. Idiots who think that they can do their own research.
Don't do any of your own research.
Don't do your own research.
Research is associated with conspiracy theory circles.
You're a
This go-it-alone
approach,
doing your own
research.
That can have serious consequences. You should get prison time for
Don't
even
read things for
questioning
yourself.
the vaccines.
Can we all stop saying, I need to do my own research?
That phrase, do your own research, 4 words. 4 little words that are
Don't think for yourself.
Doing your own research.
Just follow and do as you're told.
Do as you're told. CNN told you to do it. We did the research for you.
Yes, here you go.
That's the problem. You must not do your own research.
I need to do my own research. I don't understand what that means. I'm doing my own research.
You can't do your own research unless you're a scientist. Do your own research.
Maybe you've told yourself you're playing it safe. You just want to wait and see since this is a new vaccine. No.
Oh, no. That's a stupid thing.
Unvaccinated people spread the virus.
I feel like we're gonna watch the whole thing.
We're gonna watch the whole fucking video.
Vaccinated. That's just all there is to it. There's no excuse. No excuse for
It's
being
just too
unvaccinated.
crazy.
There's no rational and no emotional argument that
No.
adds up against
No.
getting your damn shot.
Clearly
It just
not.
isn't.
But you made a conscious decision
Yes,
not to
girl.
get the vaccine.
I also have natural immunity. So for me, personally, this vaccine poses a greater risk than a benefit. I'm also not a
100%.
risk to any of you. Let's look at the science.
Yeah.
So we see that the natural infection is given greater protection or slightly greater protection than vaccination.
This is a vaccine that was created to prevent severity of disease and to prevent hospitalizations. But the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID and does not prevent you from transmitting
my
COVID.
goodness.
Reality, and we have seen
that's
that.
not so. Come on.
No,
You've been at Fox
Joy,
TV
you
too
don't have to
long.
enjoy.
You've been on Fox
You're a kook.
TV.
You're in your category.
You're a redneck.
Look at this shit. Dude, this is propaganda.
Oh, hardcore. Hardcore.
What the fuck is that?
When we poke ya,
When we poke
We poke ya. Prick parties. Remember that?
Yes.
The virus stops with every vaccinated person.
Do it so you stop spreading terrible disease.
And that vaccine, a key goal is to
Does
stop
not
transmission so
stop.
that you get almost no infection going on whatsoever.
Expectation for vaccines is not to get infected.
A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus does not infect them.
When the virus gets to you, you stop it.
You're not going to catch it. You're not going to get sick. You're not going to transmit it.
The vaccine is absolutely bulletproof.
Vaccines block you from getting and giving the virus.
100% effective at preventing COVID.
Let's just quickly state, none of the people speaking right now have been allowed to do their own research. They're just saying what they've been told to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Prevents you from getting infected.
It is to keep you from getting it and then spreading it.
We have the ability to stop COVID in its tracks.
You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Biden tests positive for COVID-19.
When people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
Dr. Fauci tests positive for COVID-19.
Vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick.
The CDC director tests positive for COVID-19.
Really?
Get your vaccine.
Pfizer CEO tests positive for COVID. Pfizer
Do you
CEO
see
tests
the
positive for COVID
hypnosis
again.
in the
CDC
background?
director tests positive for COVID again. Fauci tests positive for COVID again. Joe Biden tests positive for COVID again.
Cases up 258%. The majority of these cases are among the vaccinated. And this area is the most vaccinated part of Massachusetts.
Round two.
Fully vaccinated people are testing positive.
So people here are a bit angry.
We are all really concerned about what this means long term.
I was vaccinated and I got COVID, and almost everyone we know with vaccinations had at least one bout of it.
Our vaccines work better than we could have possibly hoped they would work.
We are not the problem. The problem are the unvaccinated.
It's us again.
Unvaccinated people are a threat.
I remember that when they were like, the unvaccinated are giving the vaccinated COVID. And then you and we were unvaccinated and we said, but wasn't your whole fucking narrative that if you get the shot, you're safe and you're not going to catch
Exactly.
it? Then how am I a threat to you anymore?
And you're not exposing it to us. And do you remember that the unvaccinated were the only ones that needed to get tested?
Only ones.
So we, for a fact, did not have COVID before entering any place. However, the vaccinated people did not need to get tested. And they could carry the virus. So who is spreading the virus?
That's crazy. I remember that. The unvaccinated people
did not need to
had to get tested.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We
to go
had
into
to
a
get
place.
tested. Yes.
So we had to show up with a test that proves we have no COVID. So
at
they
this
let us
moment.
in, right? At this moment. But
Yes.
the vaccinated people who can transmit the disease, catch the disease, physically have it with them, could just show their little, I got my prick, and then you're allowed in, and you're spreading it. And then you put the blame on us. We proved that we didn't fucking have it. And might I add, when I left, I still didn't have it. When everybody else that got the vaccine left, they all fucking caught it. Back to the video.
Direct threat.
The threat to all
It's
of
us.
The
It was us.
unvaccinated are a risk to all of
I
us.
love the the voice that he's doing.
From the unvaccinated.
Maybe there should be laws that allow them to be kept out of the building.
So at least, thankfully, they're not breathing the same air.
Their freedom to breathe will diminish.
Start firing the unvaccinated.
If you don't vaccinate, you'll be fired.
Time to come down on
Remember
the
the fear of
unvaccinated.
that?
They should be banned from the VA, banned from restaurants, banned from other businesses and colleges.
Companies should not treat us as
Discrimination
equals.
at its highest
Unvaccinated
form.
people under arrest.
We lived through this. This is real.
That has put America in the place that it is.
We are losing freedom because people are unvaccinated.
Anger towards the unvaccinated. I'm furious at the unvaccinated.
Frustrated with Americans still not vaccinated.
Not to be vaccinated seems criminal.
Suspects face years behind bars for coughing on police officers.
Their freedom.
For them charged with terrorist threats.
You have no individual rights when it comes to the
No rights, no
You're
freedom.
killing other people.
We're being attacked by unvaccinated.
No research.
Unvaccinated who aren't wearing masks. It's the unvaccinated who aren't social distancing. It's the unvaccinated going to crowded indoor
No, because you banned us
It is not
eventually.
your right as an American citizen to catch and transmit a potentially fatal infection.
So screw your freedom. We can coerce you.
You're not going to be able to travel to see your family.
If someone in your
can.
family isn't vaccinated, should you ask them not to show up?
Yes, you really shouldn't
People
have
were
anyone
coerced.
unvaccinated come to dinner. That's just a huge risk.
If you want to come out into public, if you want to live your life, you need to get the vaccination.
It's time for people to see vaccination as literally necessary.
You should have to show that you're vaccinated in order to.
That's the guy who ate a hamburger and it was like, when I eat a hamburger, I think of vaccines. Remember when they gave free hamburgers for vaccines?
Health.
Places.
Unvaccinated tennis player can't travel to the U.S.
If you're not vaccinated, you're not welcome.
Our patience is wearing thin.
Why hasn't the president focused more on scolding the unvaccinated?
The refusal has cost all of us.
Continued damage the unvaccinated are
Except
doing
for
to
us.
themselves.
But what, didn't you have like 8 booster shots?
Are allowed to come into this country unvaccinated, but world-class tennis players are not.
Good question.
And back to our lead story, the
Pandemic of the unvaccinated. Fact is, this is the
Pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Experts call it
Pandemic of the unvaccinated.
still a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
The disease of the unvaccinated.
It is the unvaccinated who are the problem. Period. End of
The
story.
unvaccinated also put our economy at risk.
This is a tyranny of the unvaccinated right now.
The unvaccinated, not the vaccinated, the unvaccinated. That's the problem. That's the pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Pandemic of the unvaccinated. All this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
The only pandemics we have is among the unvaccinated. Pandemic because of the unvaccinated.
When you get the vaccine, you will not die. That's right. That's right.
This is a
It's
simple,
not right.
basic proposition. If you're vaccinated, you're not going to die.
If you're vaccinated, you don't have a risk. It's as simple as black and white.
You are not going to die if you are vaccinated. That's it. Full stop.
You're
No,
unvaccinated, you're at risk. You're vaccinated, you're safe.
A majority of Americans dying from coronavirus are vaccinated. COVID-19 isn't a pandemic of the unvaccinated anymore.
We didn't really understand the fatality rate. We didn't understand that it's a
How
fairly
do you
low
backtrack?
fatality rate and that it's a disease mainly of the elderly, kind of like flu is,
We didn't understand.
although a bit different.
Shit.
You have 2 Americans.
I am so happy we stood our ground.
Whoever made that video, dude, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. I mean, listen, you're not allowed to do your own research. You're not allowed to be a free thinker. You don't have any personal freedom. You don't have any freedom of speech. You're not allowed to think for yourself. You're not allowed to choose for yourself. You're not allowed to go out in public. You're not allowed to have a job anymore. You're not allowed to... People who were being dishonorably
You should not
discharged from the
invite
military
unvaccinated
into your home. Now, the thing is, in that 10-minute video, which we said we weren't going to watch, but I mean, it's captivating.
Sorry.
How many millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, watch those news networks being indoctrinated by that?
Hypnotized. Literally, did you see the hypnosis in the background?
Like, I'll never forget.
Did you see that? It's insanity.
I'll never forget.
And we're just supposed to like just forget
I was
about it?
alive. Like, this is not a fake. This is not fake. Like, I remember turning the TV on and seeing this. Sorry, the quality is bad. I don't know
Or was
why.
it just the edit?
Here, look.
So let's find out the way the vaccine is changing the scene.
Look at the hypnosis for 2 minutes in. And then he did this. I'll be able to make a vaccine. I remember in the beginning, they were like, it usually takes 5 years to find a vaccine. And they're like, we managed to do it in 6 months because we put our heads together. We don't know the repercussions.
We don't know. But why were they advising pregnant women or women trying to get pregnant not to get the vaccine?
Well, I have a friend who is in menopause now, and she's 27 years old, and she can't have a child. But it has nothing to do with the vaccine. I have another friend whose best friend was a football player, a soccer player, professional, dropped dead on the field. And now I just found out about Joe Linder.
Same.
The video that I showed of him finding particles in his blood, and then a few days later dying from an aneurysm.
That's so horrible. This is a bigger problem than the whole COVID thing was.
The problem is that...
Because it's young people.
The problem is this. Russell Brand said it perfectly. When you have a... What did he say? Like a pharmaceutical whatever that financially benefits from a medical crisis. And when you have a military-industrial complex that benefits from conflict, from war, you're going to be in a state of perpetual crisis.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, the incentive to do this was 40 new billionaires. What about the pre-existing billionaires? There's a lot of incentive. Like, as a murder investigator, you interview people like,
what's your
did they
motive?
have a motive?
Yeah. They had a motive.
There's a big motive here. And even if it's not money, I mean, Klaus Schwab was in that video.
Reset.
The guy talking about the Great Reset.
Control.
You're going to own nothing and you're going to be happy. We're going to change the world.
Being mindless zombies.
And now all of a sudden Russia is in conflict with the West. Sorry, the East is in conflict with the West. It's not Russia versus Ukraine, it's East versus West.
Yeah.
It's resource control. That's where we're at. When I was a child, my dad said one day there's going to be water wars. People are going to fight over the water. I think he got that wrong. It's minerals.
Yeah.
Because we are a consumer economy.
Yeah.
We need goods in order to create goods, in order for our consumers to continue to buy.
It literally goes back to where we started. It's where the trade of things started.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what it is.
Well, going back to the beginning of the show with the sunscreen, I really want to hammer this point in.
Yeah.
At what point do you... Because I used to be a Democrat. I used to be a liberal. I used to be one of these people that was science or fact-based.
Yeah, but
and I reached a point where I was like, hold the phone. I need to look at this differently. And then my life changed. So at what point, guys?
Same. COVID changed my perspective.
And you say, like, if you showed your family this video, if you showed me that video when I was one of those people, I probably just would have tried to be like, no, this is, you can see how they edited it, and this is not what happened, and you took it out of context.
I think they just try to back out. They just try to be like,
no. I don't want to think about it.
I don't think I could show it to them, like, without it becoming like a thing. You know, my mom maybe. It's the only person. But also she gets uncomfortable because she's so like in the midst of it, even though if I were to take her out of her environment and just speak to her and not have that messaging from my father and my brother and my sister, I think she would be on this side.
Well, look, when we mentioned the Schumann's resonance,
she was
the frequency of the earth changing.
Which is undeniable.
It's undeniable. Happened. Okay, then you cross that into the pyramids and how they built the pyramids or whatever. Maybe they did it with sonic resonance. Maybe they did that with vibration, with frequency, with energy waves.
It's all possible.
Then I say, okay, but what's the chances that the coordinates of the pyramids is exactly the speed of light?
Yeah.
And then people like your sister was there. She said, it's a coincidence.
But how?
Oh, it's a coincidence. That's coincidental, don't you think?
Very coincidental.
Even when we spoke about the Ocean Gate submarine, again, your sister instantly jumped into, what do you think it is, you crazy kooks? And then when you said, well, Milan said that it could possibly be like, I don't know, a billionaire's way to like fake his death.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden she's like, oh, I mean...
She didn't say that,
maybe.
you crazy kooks, just...
But that's how she means it. Like,
yeah. Oh, here they come again.
My mother is shit with technology. I've put her in that box. The second she phones me with a technological question, I go like this. Here we go again.
Yeah.
I put people in categories all the time.
Yeah, of course.
It's just
it's human nature.
At what point, like, I'm not saying we need validation. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying, like, at what point, like, how far do you need to be pushed before you start reevaluating things?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I have another friend, which during the whole vaccine thing, was fucking trying to force me to get the vaccine. Manipulate. What's the word that Joe Linder used?
Coerce.
No. Peer pressure.
Peer pressure.
But dude, if you don't get the vaccine, you're not going to be able to go to America. What are you going to do at live shows? How are you going to be able to do this? How are you going to be able to do that?
Didn't it work out?
Huh?
Didn't it work out?
It all worked out. But what I'm saying is a lot of peer pressure. Now, that very same guy just recently told me that he's going to vote Republican for the first time in his life because he feels like the Democrats are just completely insane.
Yeah, they've lost the plot.
And that's what I'm trying to say is, like, the peer pressure. I understand if you got peer pressured, but then, like Joe Linder, say, I was peer pressured.
Yeah, be honest
and
about
I regretted it, but I was peer pressured.
Yeah, like he said it.
Just say that.
Yeah.
I know another girl.
Oh, yes.
And she got it because she got peer pressured. I asked her, but aren't you scared of this? And what about this? And have you thought about this?
And then you see their brain
then
going...
for the first time, they enter that, and she started getting worried.
Yeah.
And then she was like, can we stop talking about this?
Yeah.
But she told me, like, well, because everybody around me was getting it, and I thought it was the right thing to do, so I just,
whatever. You know, our friend also, his wife is totally on our side. And he was like, I want to travel. So he was just like, oh, well.
Well, my mom did that. My mom wasn't necessarily on one side or the other. She was just like, I need to fly up and down.
Yeah, but your mom also didn't.
And I'm old, and even if I die, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
So she's like, give me what do you got? I want to get on a flight. I don't want to be inconvenienced.
But the thing is, this is triggering, or this is attacking younger people.
For sure.
It's making women infertile or have miscarriages, and it's killing men.
Well, after a few years of the vaccine being forcefully administered, they said that men aged, I think, like 7 to 16 or something, were advised not to take it because it's that
but then
damaging
later
to
there was an
males.
exemption in the US that you didn't need to get the vaccine to fly there.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't remember the age bracket exactly, but around 30s, 20 to 30s.
And here's something that I want to say is like,
because it caused
the whole world
cardiovascular issues.
Is like
What
we
is it called?
were drug addicts, and the government, the world took our drugs away.
Yeah.
Our freedom, right? I'm just doing a weird analogy.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
Yeah, it was
3 years of
horrible.
our lives was hard. We spent it indoors.
Yeah.
Suffering.
Most of it.
Nobody could work. Nobody could eat. Nobody could do anything.
There was
you stole
there was
years.
division. It was everything was weird.
You fucked everything up. And the thing that irritates me is when they gave us our drugs back, we were just like, thank you, bye.
And then
we've never since went back and said, what the fuck is your problem?
I only heard, you know, the funny thing is, I only heard it was at my sister's birthday where my brother sat there and he actually went, guys, and this was right after it just ended. Isn't it weird that Corona is just gone?
It's just disappeared.
Like I saw him click
Within
for
a
a
day.
second there and he goes, huh? And I was like, yeah, but I didn't go into it because, you know, I know my place in that situation. I just don't. Yeah. But yeah, it's and nobody just talks about it. Like nobody talks to me about it. Nobody, like we never touch upon the subject anymore ever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice that?
Ever. Nobody ever talks about it. Like that's
unless you're with like you know,
this.
Yes. Yeah.
For the most part, you have your drugs and you're happy, but you are not going back and saying, how dare you?
Yeah.
And show us the proof. And where's the science? And where's all the promises that you never kept? And what about this? And what about that?
Accountability.
No. And what are you doing to prevent something like this happening in the future?
Yeah.
Because luckily we got away with this one. It was just a minor
No, we just
flu.
go, okay guys, it's over. Let's just
get back to life and nobody talk about it. Nobody talk about it. Nobody's allowed to talk about it.
We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. Nobody also says to me like, hey, or anything about the fact that I didn't get the vaccine and I can now live my life. Because
Where did COVID go? Where is it? Weeks ago. We all still be
Well,
You good, bro?
No, I'm not.
Where did COVID go? Where is it? Weeks ago. We all still had to be COVID tested. There were lines for people to do the drive-through COVID testing. Gone. That thing was mutating and it was coming through. You know? Early on, there were these images coming from China of people like dropping.
We talk about this all the time.
Yes, bro.
What are these images dropping like flies in the street? We're like, whoa, COVID's
guys
crazy.
come out with like hazmat suits on from outer space. Where did COVID go?
I never saw those.
No?
No, they just dropped on the floor.
Yeah, I saw those.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's not the full thing, but Dana White got really upset on that show.
Yeah.
Because he's like, where did it go?
Yeah, guys, we're just like, oh, I remember your dad saying to you, like, oh,
How do we get to that conversation where
because he ended COVID in one day.
You're gonna end up with these.
Very fucking scary.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I
is fucking disgusting, and more importantly, it's scary. Very fucking scary.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. I think
voter
it's
fraud, my fucking ass. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but early on, I'm getting this podcast pulled for fucking shit.
Yeah, way to go.
Early on, early on, there were these images coming from China, right?
Yeah,
of people like dropping.
Yo, we talk about this all the time.
Yes, bro.
What are these images?
Like
what
dropping.
were these dropping like flies in the street? We're like, whoa,
And
COVID's
guys
crazy.
would come out with like hazmat suits on from fucking outer space and pick them up and put them in trucks and shit.
Put them in trucks. Yeah, I remember that.
We were at dinner one night, and then it was
We're like,
like
look what's
we
going
heard
on
that,
in China.
we
It's
heard
coming
that
here.
Tom Hanks got it.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
was
I
like, holy
remember
shit.
that.
I said to these guys at dinner, if Tom Hanks dies, the world's
It's
going to lose
over.
their fucking mind.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go fucking crazy.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Right? So,
what happened to those videos?
right?
They just run in the middle of the street too, and they just plummet.
Wait,
why
were they?
How did they know they were gonna just die? Why were you just running to death?
No. Do we even know if they died? Like, what were these videos? How are they just collapsing? Because we look back now that we know what it is.
Right.
I don't know if it works.
Why were those
I
cases
got
so
COVID.
serious?
I worked out twice a day for 10 days while I had COVID.
That's insane.
I don't do
Fucking
that when I'm
awesome.
healthy.
So,
Well, I had
but
COVID.
listen, and I'm not dismissing COVID like it wasn't real. People fucking died from COVID. COVID was real, and people fucking died. But to get, the entire world to agree to shut down your fucking life for almost 3 years, right? Not let your kids go to fucking school, hide in your fucking houses, everybody wear a mask, all this shit. You put out some pretty scary fucking images of people just dropping in the fucking streets.
By
right?
fear,
And
they
then
rule by
now when
fear.
you think back on it and you look at what happened, what the fuck was the camera doing there when that guy just fucking dropped in the street? And the truck just happened to be there with the out of space fucking hazmat guy who jumps out and puts him in a fucking truck.
So what do you
Right?
think? So what do you think?
Listen, I'm
No,
not
let's
saying
have
it was
some fucking
staged,
fun.
but
Let's have some fun.
Now this is where it becomes misinformation.
We had Alex Jones.
It's still not the right clip. But he was just
it's
basically
funny.
like, "Where did it go, dude? Like, it was here a
Yeah.
week ago."
Yeah.
And he's the owner of the UFC, and he's like, "Dude, we couldn't put on fights. We didn't do anything. Like, we had so many regulations that we had to adhere to, and it's just gone.
Just gone.
Just got a vaccine. Don't got a vaccine. Gone. Just bye. It's finished now. Thank you, Putin.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye." But it's so true. Like, I remember people were getting jacked from their apartments and thrown in vans, and there were like stories going around, like, and then the hazmat people just took them away, and you don't know what happened to them.
Do you remember when we flew back from Africa? We had to like test or something also? Because if you didn't have the test, they could come knocking on your door. I remember my friend in the UK, they actually came knocking on her door several times to see if she tested. Insane.
I'm gonna call this episode "Where Did COVID Go?"
Yeah. Where did COVID go?
Because what the fuck? And all the propaganda and all the money that they poured into, like he says, staging this thing. Where's the repercussions? Where's the accountability? Nobody cares. Everybody's so consumed with their own life,
Yeah, it's
their
just
job,
done. It's
their
just done.
kids, their money, their finances. Nobody thinks
It's a year ago.
it's
Wasn't it a year ago?
traumatic. Huh?
A year ago, were we still in it?
No, a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit more than a year ago. But
I don't even know. I've lost track.
you've stolen 3 years from
Yeah.
the entire globe.
Yeah.
And again, it was these rich, privileged Western countries that were forcing this narrative. I mean, God only knows. I mean, I visited Egypt recently. Like, they got hit by that. They got hit very hard by that. You weren't allowed to go outside on the beach by yourself in the sunshine
In
alone.
Africa, do you remember?
Dude, in America, Brendan Schaub talked about it. He used to go mountain biking
Yeah.
by himself. And there would be people on a separate trail, like 40 meters away, screaming at him, "Put your fucking mask on."
You know, that's unhealthy. Or you can't.
And you know what else I want to say? You know all the "put your fucking mask on" people? You know all those people? Where are they now?
Yeah, where's your mask? It's still as threatening as
It's
it was
the same,
before.
like the COVID has gone nowhere.
It's still there. You can still.
Also,
catch
where
it.
are the statistics on COVID?
Nobody cares anymore.
Does anybody look at the statistics?
No, but
You
nobody
remember when we
cares,
had all
babe.
those
It's like a
live
flu.
like
Listen.
when we had all those live streams, like this is how many people caught it today.
It's like a flu.
Where's all of that?
Nobody asks. Also, if you're sick, is it COVID?
Nobody gives a
Nobody
fuck.
gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck. Like, there was a small period after COVID disappeared that you could still use it as an excuse. Like, I think I have COVID. I gotta
you
stay
can
home.
still
I
sort
can't.
of use
I can't
it.
go to work.
Yeah.
You can still sort of use it, but now it's more just like, yeah, you have to come to work.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Nobody cares.
And why are we not
And
scared
also,
of it
it's
ramping up again?
nonchalant. Oh, I think I got COVID.
And nobody talks about it, right?
cares?
Everybody's so consumed with Ukraine and Russia. When was the last time that Joe Biden, his entire presidency, was about a fucking pandemic?
Yeah.
When was the last time he spoke about it?
That's why he could do it, so that he could give speeches on vaccines.
When was the last time anybody spoke about the fucking shit that we went through with the billions of dollars that the world spent on all of these testing facilities and all this shit? The paychecks that were stolen from families. Like, what the fuck? Where did it go?
Crazy.
Oh, it's crazy that that can happen. That something that large can happen and nobody asks about it. That's what's crazy, is that we live on a fucking planet surrounded by people that just couldn't care less. They just want to go to the beach and they just want to fucking text that girl, and that's it. They don't care about it.
No, it's just gone.
Insane.
It's just gone.
It's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Where the fuck did it go?
Yeah.
And sunscreen. Sunscreen is the next thing. Everybody's going to be saying, I got healthy sunscreen that doesn't have chemicals.
I wonder if it's going to be so widespread. Yeah.
Another thing that they do is they say, well, it's over there. It's in America where it's not regulated. But here in Europe, where they have strict regulations, they would never allow something like that to happen. It's
it was in the Dutch news, though. It was in the Dutch news.
Yeah. And why only now are people starting to get concerned with forever chemicals and toxic
Yeah, but that's,
chemicals?
I think, also because we do watch that stuff and we
What,
are...
do you remember what happened when I told your dad about the air fryer?
Yeah, he panicked.
He's like, what are you guys doing? Like, we're looking for a new air fryer. He said, why? And I said, well, because it's a little bit toxic, turns out.
And he's like, all that stuff.
No, at first he got scared.
Yeah, you saw it in his face, but then
he was like, what do you mean I'm gonna die?
Yeah, but then he debunked it in his brain.
Innocently.
Yeah.
Because you can't have that.
No.
That's too scary.
No.
And then you talk about things like stem cells in the medical community that is still illegal. Because it's a conspiracy theorist. You're a fucking conspiracy theorist. I'll talk about it in the next episode.
Sorry,
and my mom took stem
hungry,
cells.
apparently.
But like, apparently you're a conspiracy theorist if you talk about stem cells. You're a conspiracy theorist if you say, eat healthy and take vitamins, because that should solve the root cause of the problem you have. No. You have to take this pill that was developed specifically for the symptom that you have.
Yeah.
And it costs $150 a pill, bitch. Where's fixing the root cause? Like, okay. It's just insane.
Yeah.
We should end this one before we go too far, because I can keep it going for another 3 hours.
We're still a bit upset about it.
I'm so clearly. I don't know if it's noticeable.
Because we keep like going back to it and thinking,
I'm physically
wait
affected.
a second.
Yeah, because like you keep talking. You're like, okay, and let's end the episode.
Yeah,
and then you're
like,
like, and another thing.
you motherfuckers.
Okay, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yes, thank you very much.
Choose.
Please don't cancel us. No, please don't cancel us. We're talking fake news